the response on the first video was way more than I was expecting. So, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that a lot. And thirdly, I am going to take my headset off to make sure that I'm not whispering too loudly now that the microphone is close since I moved it. So, I'm just going to take this off real quick. And once again, if my chair creaks, my apologies. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. So yeah, thank you all very much. I was not expecting that response on the video. I could hear some steppy steps in my house. One of my family members. Hopefully the microphone doesn't pick that up. I'm hoping that it doesn't. But now that the fact that the microphone is closer, I'll feel a little less weird doing mouth sounds into it because it kind of covers my mouth. I don't know. Whenever I watch ASMR, I always like to kind of focus on their mouth, which is like kind of a weird thing, I know. But yeah, I'm gonna try to keep editing to a minimum. I didn't edit the first one, and there's some funny stuff in there that I enjoy, that I like to watch while I like ASMR. I don't know, because it feels like it humanizes them. I am human. Not that I'm not a human. I am human. I promise. So yeah, thank you all for the response, and I might as well finish with the Fortnite story. For this one, I think, so there's on the website that I'm using, there's specific names that are highlighted. So what I think I'll do is I'll try and repeat them. We'll just do repeated words that are tingly too. So we'll see. So without further ado, thank you for watching. Also, with my copy, I'm a Gen Z, 19-year-old who watches a lot of YouTube. So, if I accidentally pick up any phrases from other YouTubers, I apologize. I watch a lot of Wendigoon, and he's pretty cool. So I like his intro and outro. I'm not gonna steal it, but if I do accidentally, that's why. So we're back into Chapter 2, Season 4. This one's titled Nexus 4. A crack in the ground reveals Mjolnir, the hammer of Thor, the Asgardian god of thunder. He arrives on the island to retrieve his weapon to stop a great evil, only to lose his memory to the effects of the loop. Alongside Captain America, Thor was one of the many from his world, designated as Reality 616 by the island's controllers, who stay in the shadows this season to arrive in hopes of preventing the island's total destruction. After spies, astronauts, and a flood, our reality has cracked enough for beings like Galactus, the devourer of worlds, to slip through from another world. His hands are the size of the entire island, and he seeks the power that's buried beneath it, the 0 point. Also, another side tangent, since I moved my mic, it's now attached to the spot to where my keyboard and mouse are. So if I move my mouse, if I click my keyboard, and you hear it, let me know. I'm gonna listen back and make sure it isn't. It shouldn't be too loud, but hopefully, if it is, it'll be clicky, So, anyways, my apologies. Also, if I look down, someone's texting me. So, I'm gonna, if I defer, I'll try and, keep that to a minimum. But here's the next paragraph. For us, the only advantage to his size is the speed in which he travels through space. Slowly. And so, throughout the season, heroes that have faced him before will help us defend the island from his hunger. To stop Galactus, Thor brings other powerful beings from his world with Asgard's Bifrost, including the iron-handed Doctor Doom, the Attorney-at-Law, She-Hulk, the kind-hearted Groot, and his best friend Rocket, the inimitable Mystique, the goddess Storm, and the unstoppable Wolverine. Yet the one to engineer a plan to save us is none other than Tony Stark. Tony Stark, the invincible Iron Man. Gas. Thor was reluctantly serving as Galactus' herald to guide him into doomed planets so that he could consume them to sustain his existence. However, something had made his hunger insatiable. The black hole had sent shockwaves throughout every multiverse, and whoever was capable of sensing its power had been drawn to it. Before Galactus, however, the heroes and villains from 616 must face the island's own challenge. Any sentient being, no matter their power, has their abilities and memory locked away from when entering the loop. To remember who they are, they must fight their own instincts to survive. After Thor and Storm reawaken their thunder, just as the others also recover their powers and past, the Nexus War begins. Meanwhile, at the ruins of the agency in the spirit of Halloween, Midas returns, dead. Big old question mark on behind dead for some reason. Due to his status as missing, his henchmen have made a circle of spells that summon their master from beyond. They thought he'd been eaten by a shark, but the loop can trick you. The true Midas had only disappeared to plan his return as king, not ready to meet his end. After this false ghost almost turns us all into Shadow. Shadow, that's funny. We defeat the ghoulish phantom Midas as the real Midas gets the last laugh on this summoning mishap. Now, back to the Nexus War. Quickly after his arrival, Stark had reverse engineered the technology of the loop we fight in, as well as how the island was made. Chunks from different worlds that converge for the 0 Point's own protection, and so he brings a city-sized chunk of his own industries from upstate New York onto the island by making beacons smaller to the scientist from last chapter. As a response, Galactus unleashes Gorgers on the island to weaken the resistance against him. The heroes gather on the helicarrier, the flying headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. brought in with the Bifrost. Inside the ship, they can simulate Galactus's arrival on the island, as well as deploy Quinjets to provide us resources to battle Gorgers. Yet the battle for reality is already nearing its end. And this brings us to the live event of this season, which was, very, very cool. I think it could have been a little, it was Galactus' big guy, that's how he is. I feel like this scale was a little weird in the live event. He seemed both small and big, obviously, whatever. You don't come here for, intelligent thoughts about Fortnite live events. I'm still trying to decide if I should turn the light on behind me, because, I don't know, I like it dark, but, it also looks a little creepy. I'll leave it up to you guys. You get what I mean? If you think it's creepy, just let me know. I can turn it on in the comments. It's really not that big a deal. Anyways, the live event, it's titled The Devourer of Worlds. No matter our preparation, Galactus has arrived, and he hungers. He backhands the helicarrier out of the sky and sends us flying, only for us to be saved by Iron Man, equipping us with a jetpack. I just realized I may still be in an Xbox party, so I'm gonna double check that real quick. On Xbox Game Bar. I'm not. Okay, we're good. Sorry, I just realized. Our best chance is to use the island's own battle bus, which brings everyone into each loop as a weapon against Galactus. Stark plans to strap gamma bombs, the same power that made the mighty She-Hulk into billions of battle bus clones made by hacking the loop's time mechanics. Galactus' power makes him a star, and by making him collapse, we can punch a portal through space to send him back home. Kind of similar to something else that came out recently. Good movie, by the way. Oh yeah, Fortnite. I just want to make this clear. Fortnite is not the only thing I'll be yapping about. It's just I figured since I made a part 1, I'll make a part 2 and just finish it off. So yeah, Fortnite is not the only thing I'll be yapping about. If you guys want me to do other triggers that isn't just talking, let me know. I'm happy to do it. us to drive. Galactus deploys attack drones to stall us from getting near him, while he consumes the 0 point. But with the hero's help, we may make it just in time. A billion exploding battle buses, straight to the face, force Galactus to retreat forever into his own world, where he will meet his own fate. Now, away from the in-between and back on the island, we remain in the aftermath. The aftermath. The aftermath. Also, I don't think this has directional audio. I think it's just mono, but I don't know. Season 5. A very, very good season in my opinion. A little bit controversial, because the sand tunneling was a little bit bugged. So, the attack, oh yeah, by the way, title is 0 point. Just for y'all knowing. Or, I don't know if that was the title. I don't know if these are like the actual official titles. Or it's like just like the lore parts, but regardless. The attack by Galactus has burnt a hole through the island and the facilities that houses the 0 point, which is now dying. The island's controllers can no longer hide from defending the island, forcing them to reveal themselves and their true name, the Imagined Order, or IO for short. They have been the ones watching us since the beginning for the sake of their twisted science, something that the Seven have long attempted to stop. Oh, that was a sentence that I messed up. Wow. More about the IO will be revealed as they struggle to save the island from the consequences of their experiments below. However, this catastrophe came from above, and one of their agents must now prevent the 0 point's collapse. John Jonesy Jones, whom we've briefly met thanks to Jules and Midas's device. The IO has safely observed us from under the island for millennia, believing that if the 0 point were harmed, it would heal itself with time, no matter if the island and its people survived. After nearly being consumed, the 0 point floats above the new scorching tunnel that connects to the bridge from which it was taken, the underground headquarters of the IO first mentioned in the scientist tapes. As a response to its harm, the 0 point has turned the entire center of the island into a crystalline desert. The sand eventually tumbles and covers the tunnel, blocking us from any access to the IO. Now, their priority is to keep us away from the 0 point. With access to it and the IO's technologies, we can escape the loop that makes us fight and even forget the reason why. To stop anyone from reaching the 0 point, Jones is given the mission to triangulate the best hunters from across the Omniverse, the vast existence that can be accessed by the 0 point when aligned. He records these adventures in reality logs, offering mission updates to his boss, Dr. Sloan, head of the island team. The hunters settle on Hunter's Haven, a new facility sponsored by the IO and protected by their guards from underground. Before joining the hunt, Jones had to sell them on the idea with bars, a brand new currency distributed by the IO and manufactured with Midas's leftover gold. And here's a detailed character list of the hunters that were hired. Reese wishes she'd been here to see the Devourer. As a monster hunter with experience chopping beasts of that size, her adopted father, Cypress Nell, was her mentor. The Mandalorian followed a strict dogma of helmets and honor until a cute child fell upon his care. Lexa hails from Y Labs, where her genius father equips her with the latest in bounty hunting. Her brother Orin later arrives to save her, thinking that she'd been abducted instead of hired. Menace is a champion gladiator fighting at Colossal Coliseum alongside his successor, Sika or Zyka, I don't know, something. Fortnite skin, Maeve is the wild heart of her jungle, a powerful shape-shifting protector, long respected by all. Mancake brings the butter barn, his syrup-slinging diner for outlaws. Condor is a vengeful spirit passed down for generations, a weapon made by alien forces, soon to come. Some fueled by bars and others by honor, all with a bounty on our heads. However, as the season progresses, the damage done by Galactus leads the 0 point to a meltdown. Jones tries gathering even more hunters to control us, like the God of War, Kratos. I mentioned him in the last time. The Scarlet Speedster, Flash, and the alien hunters, Ripley and Predator. But it's not enough. The IO divisive. This one was super divisive. I remember people being like, oh, I love this season, or oh, I hate this season. You know, super volatile. Volatile. Dying Light. One of my favorite games. I'm going to be going over the lore of that too. Putting that on a list. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'll do it. But, like, we'll see on a matter of when, you know? So, like I said, Jones has betrayed the Imagined Order and stolen their research regarding the Seven, turning his past enemies into allies in a time of crisis. I hope that wasn't too loud. I was trying to fix the gain while talking. I keep tapping it with my lips. He had served the Order for centuries, as all agents are immortal on the island. Now he sees the IO for what they truly are. After ignoring his boss's warnings, furious at his disregard for the IO's oath, Jones aligns his portal device to the last known location of the Seven and throws it into the 0 point, hoping for a sign, and they reply. A meteor strikes into the desert below the crackling 0 point, which is now surrounded by strands of light, all lashing onto the ground and creating portals to the island's past. From inside the meteor, a life support pod opens to reveal the Foundation, leader of the Seven. And this season started with a live event, which was super cool and a really awesome change in my opinion. It was titled The Zero Crisis. To show his change of heart, all the hunters gathered by him wreak havoc on the island. Jones asked Foundation to help him stabilize the 0 point, as the island would be destroyed if it continues to melt down. They're also counting on us, kindly nicknamed as Loopers, to help save reality. Since Foundation is careful about working with Jones, a former IO agent, he asks for information in exchange for his help. The whereabouts of the IO's exclusive leader, Jenna, and his twin daughters. After Jones agrees, Foundation helps by holding the 0 points of strands with his own hands, one of the many powers enabled by his armor, while Jones is tasked with closing the portals with his device, as they're overloading the 0 point. Jones had never seen it like this, having only studied the cosmic orb from afar. To make matters worse, the unstable 0 point sends out pulses that change the landscape of the island, bringing chunks from other worlds in reality waves. One even turns Jones into a familiar butterfly temporarily. Yet, after closing the portals, the 0 point is too weak to bloom. With the imminent threat of its collapse, Foundation is forced to take the same stone that makes the island to encase the 0 point in the spire. Made of interdimensional matter to sustain its power, for it to realign back into the bridge so it may heal itself. Foundation also encases himself inside the 0 point to repair its cracked outer shell, a sacrifice that will shape the island for years to come, with the help of a now human Jones, who seals the 0 point with his last charge of his portal device, trapping himself in the loop. In the final moments of the 0 crisis, the last reality wave slipped through the spire's grasp, turning the island's center into a village that worships and surrounds the spire, with the likes of Raz, a scholar, and Tarana, a seer of the Jurassic clan. This village with no technology in sight, yet the island's equipment had already been abandoned by the IO after all employees were forced to evacuate to other realities, since the spire had blocked their access to the 0 point in the bridge below. There's a Batman comic, which is pretty rad. Batman in Fortnite 0 point. It's relevant to the lore, so I mean, it's obviously in here, so it's gotta be. To regain their control of the 0 point in secret, the Order's island team works remotely, planting another world's greatest detective into the loop, Batman. If he were to escape, he would need the 0 point, just like they do. And so, the IO manipulates Batman by also bringing Catwoman, his longtime ally and sometimes partner, for him to fight to regain consciousness in the loop, so that both could escape. My apologies. Sorry. The consciousness in the loop so that both could escape, all on the IO's behalf, without Batman ever knowing. One moment. Sorry, I keep looking at my phone. I shouldn't be doing that. I'm sorry. Batman succeeds and frees the 0 point, Spire's success in freeing the Zero Point, the IO had set an anchor on the island to create a sideways rift. The crack in the sky connects two realities side by side to enable their return to the island with the help of evil genius Lex Luthor. However, the IO had never truly left, and each of the island's biome towers were built with the Spire stones, each one protected by assassins and with an engraved rune as part of the IO's insignia. These strays of the Order were left behind to learn the Spire secrets so that they could protect their own, while Sloane and her island team were gone. Meanwhile, echoes of Foundation sacrifice can still be heard from the Spire's towers. Jones knows. The former IO agent had been looped many times before while on missions given to him by Dr. Sloan, and each time that anyone escapes loop, a snapshot of them is made. Variants with no memory of their past for the IO to research forever. Jones's variants were the first to notice the Spire's darkness, a familiar one to them. Now the Primal Age comes to an end, as such a darkness has seen the opportunity to strike again. This isn't the first time that the islands faced darkness, once by the cube's command to drain the Zero Point's power. After the cube's explosion, the IO had stored its remaining pieces inside the facilities in the bridge, the same facilities that were wrecked by the Spire's formation. A shard of the cube has been lodged inside the Spire's core all along. The runes on its stones affect anything they're inscribed onto. Now the Zero Point Spire follows those same commands, and with the center of all existence acting as a beacon to the cube's makers and other evil. Darkness still needs the help of an acolyte, and with their access to the Zero Point's disregard for time, they manipulated Raz and his entire past life to become their ideal puppet. His life's only purpose became the retrieval of the Spire's core, going against Tyranna's visions and advice, and he succeeds at a great cost for himself and the island. This leads us into Season 7, Invasion. Very, very good season. Brought in Rick and Morty. This battle pass was really good in my opinion. But I remember the gameplay being a little one note, but I think that might have been my fault because I kept using it was like those pulse grenades. I can't remember the name, and the ray gun, or no, not the ray gun, the rail gun. Two very, very fun items, but busted together. The Imagined Order has fully retreated. Oh yeah, Invasion. Sorry. The Imagined Order has fully returned to the island, which is now under threat by an alien invasion. Raz's discovery of the darkness that had invaded the Spire beckoned a different kind of evil than the cubes, resulting in people and places off the island being abducted. Symbols burnt into corn crops and a strange shortage of cat snacks. Chimera are now stationed across several landmarks, genetically perfect soldiers spliced from the DNA of all the worlds once invaded by their army, such as the Pluxarians. Other forces that are patrolling the island include the Trespassers, androids modeled after the Chimera, and Zig and Choppy, an unlikely duo of another android and a telepath. These alien soldiers were brought by the mothership that now covers the entire island's sky, big enough to transport civilizations of troops, and with a laser capable of destroying us in a heartbeat. But they haven't. Their goal is the same as the IOs, the same as the cubes, and the same as Galactus, the Zero Point. Upon their arrival, the aliens focused their laser to obliterate the Spire in an attempt to steal the Zero Point. By accessing the Omniverse, no one would escape their invasion. Thankfully, it's already healed and returned to the center of the island, its hiding place. The IO sees the invasion as a conflict of interest, given that their mission is to also use the Zero Point, but for a different kind of evil. They use it to bring the best fighters and minds into the loop, as to create the perfect society from them. This brings us into the Batman, like Fortnite thing, part 2. Meanwhile, the Spire's creator, Foundation, is still alive after being ejected from the Zero Point the moment that it was hit by the mothership's laser. He remains unaware that his attempt to save reality was corrupted by an alien invader. Foundation's current location is the harbor of Gotham City, home of the Batman, designated as Reality NF-1935 by the IO. The rift that used by them to return to the island was opened in the middle of Gotham, leaving the city vulnerable. However, the Justice League is quick to respond to Lex Luthor's band of villains, causing madness, including the multiversal threat of the Batman Who Laughs, a version of the hero that's gone mad. After dealing with the remaining threats and stranding the villain inside the loop, Foundation makes his way back to the Seven's hidden headquarters to prepare for coming battles. Now to protect the IO's newly regained control of the Zero Point, Dr. Sloan, Jones's former boss and head of the island team, calls through the island's telephones with mission assignments to infiltrate the alien army and learn how to fight them. The IO doesn't wish to protect the island, but they end up doing so by protecting themselves. However, Jones, their former agent, does want to save us and has disguised himself as a cow to be abducted intentionally. As we infiltrate their ranks, the alien army needs some reconnaissance of their own, and the stage is set for the Rift Tour, a flashy music attraction for the people of the island as an attempt to disguise a probe into our memories. If they learn about the island from our past, they'll know how to end it. Thankfully, our guardian butterfly pulls the plug just in time to save us, just as she always has. This brings us to the live event of the season, Operation Skyfire. I do remember being present for this one. I remember it being awesome. It's just very cinematic and just huge set pieces that were super impressive. Very, very awesome to watch. I would rate it pretty highly out of all of the live events that do happen, as they were just, it's just so awesome to watch. After providing Sloan with our intel, the IO prepares to end the invasion by protecting the next part of the island to be abducted by the mothership for analysis. They can sneak in hundreds of bombs to destroy the invader from within, as well as us, their best operative, to follow the bombs and arm them. During our intended abduction, while exploring the mothership to find its weakness and touching elite trespassers with Sloan's help, we find familiar faces, former henchmen, snapshots of Jones that confuse even the aliens, and locations from before the black hole. An invader that is interested in our past. This alien army is no different than the cube we faced after all, but rather a different facet of its makers. Sloan betrays us out of fear from witnessing an old enemy's return. To the IO, any life is expendable in the name of science. As a cube slowly rises from the elevator, taking us deeper inside the mothership. After losing some fellow loopers to the cube's strikes of lightning, with our combined effort, maybe the butterflies or even the 0 points, we cleanse this cube's darkness and turn it blue, making it into our new ally to our upcoming war. Oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't know, which you might since you're watching this video, Fortnite lore, the original cube was named Kevin, and obviously the blue one of Kevin should be named Blevin, and thus it was named Blevin, and the other one was Kevin. There's just like a lot of Kevins. I don't know if the community ended up naming them all different names, or if it was... Excuse me. I don't remember if they ended up being different names, or if they were just all just designated as Kevin. While we escape pure obliteration, the bombs explode just as planned. The mothership is destroyed and becomes Skyfire. Hundreds of cubes that were hidden inside the ship fall upon the island to steal what the first cube never could, the power of the 0 point, while the rest of the ship crashes into the ocean aflame. And this brings us to the final season of Chapter 2, Season 8, named Cubed. Now, this was the first season that I got all of the extra rewards. I remember getting the gold skins, the very final. Like, I think it's 200 level. I think they changed it to 200 at that time. Because remember in the Marvel season it was like 240 or 250. Maybe it was 260 to get Wolverine as this rainbow Damascus almost color. It was very cool. But season 8 was the very very first one where I got all of the max rewards, so it was very cool. I was a big fan of the season. The Spire had let a primal past loose from elsewhere onto the island, but also a shard of our own past darkness. A battle once fought on Halloween, where fiends and hordes led by the cube had tried to overtake the island, yet failed to do so. Now, whoever saw the rift of the Visitor as their opportunity to send the cube through, it has returned to try again. One cube is usually enough to corrupt an entire reality to their will, but the island, the center of all existence, will take more than that, their entire multiversal legion. Aboard the island's mothership, beyond the countless purple boxes, with a golden leader for them to follow. After the success of Operation Skyfire, each and every cube crashed onto the island and began their search for the 0 point. However, in the present, the golden cube calls upon its subjects to roll into the center of the island and build the convergence, including the cube of our past, after being taken from time moments before its explosion, had since been powering evolution energy. The convergence is a pyramid of cubes with the golden one on its top, meant to create a portal for alien forces from beyond, built on top of the aftermath of the Zero Crisis, where the desert that was once there had been overtaken by alien flora. The aliens' use of sacred geometry, such as the symbol of the pyramid, is what powers them. To weaken us, the island is currently under attack by hordes of all shapes and sizes. The aliens control monsters strung from stone that we battle alongside hunters. They help us defeat the caretakers and other creatures, all originating from the mysterious sideways dimension. Oh, caretakers, caretakers, caretakers. By uncovering and destroying the runes that power them, bubbles also appear on the island that connect to the sideways, just like rifts, showing pockets of a desolate wasteland. Inside this alien world, caretakers and their troops become stronger, as if it were their home. Leading our fight against the hordes is J.B. Chimpansky, a space chimpanzee turned general, who rallies bars to help us build the strongest weapons from our past, such as the Io's brutes and Sergeant Winter's Stormwing planes. The final piece of our new resistance is the converted blue cube that zaps away any nearby monsters. These forces are ruled by an army from beyond reality, the last reality. They march an eternal crusade against any reality that isn't their own, gathering any remnants from the worlds they destroy to become allies of their legion, all led by a chosen monarch that unfolds herself from inside the golden cube, the Cube Queen. To stop them, we need help of our longtime heroes and scientists. This brings us to the final live event of this chapter. Excuse me one moment. One moment, my apologies. I get very distracted. I'm sorry. The final live event called The End. The Seven arrived to save us with a plan to flip the island and throw the convergence into the ocean so that the portal to the last reality can be closed and the alien forces stopped. Our mission is to fight and save as much of the island as we can, yet to save us, the blue cube sacrifices itself while defending us from caretakers. Excuse me one moment, my neck is a little sore. My apologies. The hordes arrive in waves through a sideways infection that spreads through the entire island, all powered by the Cube Queen, who now floats above the convergence to keep their portal open, giving us a glimpse into the last reality army of thousands of motherships and the cradle that leads them. The scientist and the visitor arrive to evacuate us into the bunkers from which the Io once observed us, and to enter the bridge in hopes of salvation, which is now empty after the Order's own evacuation. However, before leaving, Sloane is revealed to have captured Jones, seeing through his animal disguise, and is now interrogating him. She has nearly wiped out all of his memories from his time as a traitor's hero, until Foundation arrives to save him. Alongside our space knights, we all make our way to the 0 point, the epicenter of the island, to disable the bridge's gyroscope that keeps the island in balance. A curious caretaker finds us in the depths of the island's ocean and breaks the pressure chamber that houses the 0 point, flooding it and taking us into the open seas. Still, we successfully disable the bridge and even take some of the IO's intel with us. Now as we brace for the flip, the cube queen screams in agony, having failed to take her greatest prize once again. The flip reveals a brand new island, while our past one sinks into the sea. The snowy landscape of our new home is cube-free, just a calm and lush paradise protected by the Seven, whom we'll fight alongside with until the IO is gone for good. Now the calm before the storm begins. Now this brings us into Chapter 3. There are only 4 seasons because Epic decided to start doing yearly chapters rather than going to like 10 or 8, the longer range. So it kind of depends, time-wise it kind of depends, so we're making it to like Chapter 5, Chapter 6 now. This was, Chapter 3 had some growing pains, no doubt, so, Anyways, this brings us into Season 1 of Chapter 3, titled, Flipped, 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 Flipped. Just the island is no longer in balance, a war for the 0 point tilts to a start. Ever since the black hole, the Seven's headquarters had been hidden on an island underneath and opposite to our own. They have been sneaking out loopers out of the battlefield and into a quiet sanctuary. However, we're not the only inhabitants of this new island. Colombos have made their way under the care of Haven, as well as the webbed hero from Reality 616, Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. For now, it's time to enjoy peace alongside them, while we still have it, as the Seven have already begun planning for the opposite. After the island flipped, the scientist believes that the Seven are now an easy target for the IO, which is currently trapped on the other side. He creates a device to contact us for various tasks, such as launching rockets identical to the visitors to recover lost Seven gear that was thrown into space due to the flip. Another consequence of the flip are the sudden earthquakes that prompt scientists to ask for our help. To analyze their true source, he wants It's definitely one of those days, seismometers to be installed on the island's tallest peaks. Meanwhile, after the first launch fails, a second rocket is sabotaged by familiar foes. The seismometers reveal that the IO has been digging into our island with drills and setting up signal blockers to ground our rockets. This sets a ticking clock for the Seven to realize a successful rocket launch before the IO strikes an end to our resistance. Scientists needs us to destroy and steal tech from the IO guards that have drilled upwards to access their plans. Now safe from sabotage, the third rocket launches into space and returns with a lost message encoded in the rocket's black box from the paradigm. After defeating the Devourer, she's been missing and assumed dead ever since. Some of the Seven, including Foundation, no longer trust her. By using the IO's own tech to save the island, in the form of the mecha team leader, Paradigm was labeled as a traitor. But that's sure to change with the tide of war and the Seven's need for an advantage. Scientists report our findings to the Seven on their secure channel, and we can tune into these broadcasts with Sanctuary's equipment. We listen to his rallies for the team to work together with their long-lost ally, who he cherishes quite fondly. However, the rest of the Seven, whom we'll soon meet, will have to unite either way as the rest of the IO rises, and the greatest battle begins. This brings us into Season 2 of Chapter 3, titled Resistance. This is when they brought in Zero Build, and in my opinion, I'm pretty sure this is when they brought in Zero Build. Oh wait, no, not yet. I can't remember. Anyways, Zero Build was really cool. I like it a lot. I can't remember. I don't remember. Sorry. Anyways. resistance. After centuries of conflict over the Zero Point, the long war between the Seven and the Imagined Order has erupted, reaching the point of no return. While the Seven wish to free the Zero Point entirely, and everyone trapped in its time loop, the IO uses the loop to test people at their most vulnerable, so they can find perfection to create a world that's all theirs. However, both factions can bring great risk. The IO doesn't care for those they kidnap. Anyone's memories and minds can be erased by them at will. The Seven, while with good intention to free the Zero Point and those in the loop, cannot control the result, where the center of all existence is unharnessed and free for the taking. Now, as part of an arsenal centuries in the making, the IO has deployed blimps, Titan tanks, and even brutes on the island to weaken the Seven's forces. Leading the IO's enforcers is Gunner his name, while the Seven's general, the Origin, leads us against them, the once possessed Cube King of the last reality, who is now reformed. After escaping, Origin was given another chance by the Seven to undo the harm he had caused unwillingly. He trains us to become a part of the Seven's covert ops while we train Peely to drive, to prepare for a rescue that the bandana thinks will soon be needed. In the past, the IO had contained the Zero Point for thousands of years, ever since the vault had been guarded by Singularity. In a way, they kept it out of sight from threats like Galactus, even while exploiting it. The Seven were aware that this was the best case scenario until they could fight the IO's actions head on. However, the threat that the Devourer once posed to the Zero Point was too great, forcing Paradigm to end that stalemate by destroying the vault, the Seven's first act in this Zero War. Paradigm is yet to return, even after her message was intercepted by the scientist. Foundation and Origin believed that she betrayed the team, while Imagined and Scientist fight for her place in it. While the Seven are no strangers to second chances, if this inner conflict were to be leaked to the IO, they could be vulnerable. Meanwhile, by reverse engineering one of the IO's tanks, the Scientist deploys armored battle buses to help us fight. The island's finest also join us in battle. Jones, freshly rescued by Foundation from Sloane's interrogation, and the Imagined, one of the sisters that Foundation was looking for upon meeting Jones. She is a stubborn and scrappy fighter, and one of the two daughters of Geno, the IO's founder. His presence can be felt in every step of this conflict. Imagined has her own stakes in this battle, to remember her past. Like many the IO have once captured, she doesn't remember anything besides her father and how he'd replace her with a better version taken from the loop. Geno seeks impossible perfection even from his own family. Meanwhile, unknown to him, Imagined's sister is currently infiltrated in the IO to discover what they have planned for the endgame. This brings us into Zero War. The IO poses a threat to every world, even to the heroes and legends of Reality 616. Spider-Man, after returning to his home since being brought to the island by chance, helps connect Jones with the Wolverine once again. The heroes that helped us fight Galactus have no memory of the loop, so each new addition to our war efforts requires convincing. Iron Man, Captain Marvel, and other Avengers agree to help save all realities, while the Visitor has an idea. After Paradigm vanished, Origin had traced her crash route to the ice moon that orbits the island, alongside the Mecha team leader. If the Seven could recover and restore the Mecha, they would have a weapon of the IO's own creation to use against them. Yet, to power it in such short notice, they'll need to trace something that Galactus took from the island. The Zero Shard, a piece of the Zero Point that crystallized on the travel between worlds, making it easier to harness its power. Split into teams, the Seven and the Avengers face foes like Doctor Doom and the High Evolutionary to retrieve the Shard, which was first discovered and then guarded by Shuri, the Black Panther. Meanwhile, Thor and Storm head to the Ice Moon to control its godlike weather, so that the Seven can retrieve the Mecha. Once they arrive, they discover that Paradigm sacrificing himself to defeat the prisoner after the Devourer. Alongside the hungry beast, other weapons ruled too dangerous to exist in the Omniverse were collected by his knights in the castle's halls. Weapons that Doctor Doom steals to fight the Seven for the Shard. Doom has a temporary alliance with Geno, the IO's very founder, to smother any resistance against him. Doom is ultimately defeated and betrays the IO by leaving, promising to return one fateful day to shape our island in his image. I did not realize they were foreshadowing that far back. That's crazy. I didn't know that. Now, with the Seven reunited and at work on their brand new moon base, the Mecha Strike Commander is ready for action. Powered by the Zero Shard. Still, the IO's scheme is moments away from revelation, a world-ending weapon using the same power as the Mecha, the 0 Point itself. Meanwhile, the Order, Imagine's sister, unveils herself after a long period of spying. She's learned that the IO's doomsday weapon, codenamed the Collider, will soon be activated by two keys, one given to Dr. Sloan and the other to Gunner. The sisters imagined an Order had named themselves after the organization they despise because it was their only remainder of their past. Now that past will lead us to victory. And that brings us into the live event titled Collision. After receiving new armor made by the scientist's admiration for her, Paradigm recruits us as the weapons team for the Seven's upcoming battle. The heroes from 616 fight alongside us on the island to destroy the IO's smaller shield generator outpost, each one powering and protecting the Collider, while the mecha flies in from the ice moon. We pilot the mecha with Paradigm and destroy the IO shields, tanks and blimps all focused on stopping us. Our plan is to wait for the Seven to destroy the Collider's shield systems, which would allow for a strike team which would allow for a strike from the mecha's light blade. However, after reaching the Collider, we're surrounded until Peely saves the day by bringing us a slurp truck. After healing ourselves and preparing the light blade to strike, the ground beneath us explodes and the mecha falls into the island, revealing that it was all a trap. While Sloan threatens to end our resistance, Paradigm tries to bring the mecha back online after it was heavily damaged. We make our way to the top of the Collider to destroy the crystals that are bringing the 0 Point to its top. If they touch, the weapon will be powered and destroy the entire island, giving the IO a fresh start for their evil. Meanwhile, the mecha comes back just as we reach the top, and Sloan corners us with her tank. In one swift motion, Paradigm punches Sloan's tank into thin air, leaving the once feared leader missing. Making use of our distraction, Geno has arrived. He is furious at Sloan's incapability of dealing with our resistance, even going so far as to fight his own daughters on the Collider. The one man with every world at his disposal had abandoned his daughters after making them immortal. Now Imagined can see her life's purpose fulfilled. Order blocks her father's suit from flying, and to her surprise, Imagined dives into the 0 Point with Geno. Foundation and Jones follow them into Geno's pocket universe, from which he controlled the IO. He believed that the 0 Point cannot be kept safe for long without subjugation inside the bridge or the vault. He wishes the Seven good luck in keeping it freed, as Geno fades into atoms with his own daughter, due to having touched the 0 Point uncontrolled. Geno will return someday, even when forgotten. Imagine's sacrifice, however, will forever be remembered as the victory that saved all existence from the IO's exploitation. After the Seven flew far to the corner the IO's founder, we break the Collider's crystals and destroy the machine, with Paradigm shielding us from the fallout with the mecha's hands. The heroes of 616 bid farewell as the scientist builds them a portal home. For now, we remain in freedom. This brings us into Season 3, called Vibin. This was one of my probably all-time favorite seasons of Fortnite. It was just during the summer, and the vibe was just absolutely immaculate. I remember after the live event, during downtime, music. It was awesome. The vibe was just impeccable. Excuse me, my apologies. But yeah, this brings into one of my favorite seasons, Season 3 of Chapter 3, titled Vibin. The 0 point is free and flourishing. It grows alongside the island's flora, almost as if they were one, sprouting a massive reality tree downstream from the lake it calls home. The tree is a beacon of immense power, much like the spire that will attract threats from beyond reality. First, we party. The imagined order drills and tech are scattered all over the place, destroyed after we turn them into a smoking crater. The 7 are busy with cleaning up. Oh, that was loud. My bad. I don't know what that was. I really hope that wasn't too loud. My bad. Well, the 7 are busy with cleaning up and restoring the island with the help of newcomers like Evie. The scientist, with regret of having freed the 0 point in the first place, asks to turn these war remnants into art, like the bustling rave cave built as the head of the giant cuddle team leader. Second, we worry. The 0 point is sending signs that something is wrong, ominously pulsing through the reality tree's roots, and bringing dangerous relics from other worlds in pieces as a warning, such as a Sith holocron from a galaxy far, far away, an idol from a familiar professor, and pieces of our own past. Also, I realize I've been recording for about an hour, and I didn't realize it's been that long, so I may have to cut it off, and we'll do a part 3. We'll see. I may do a video in between part 2 and part 3, maybe 1 or 2, just to break it up so it's not only Fortnite. So, third, we prepare. The scientist deploys his artificial machine intelligence engine, codenamed Amy, a slightly unstable genius, to help us retrieve these relics and calm the 0 point. After we do so, our favorite mecha pilot, Paradigm, returns to guide us, while the scientist frantically calculates the 0 point's building power. He was the one that ensured we would be safe in its freedom. Now he isn't so sure he was right. Scientist brings a bush ranger to try and connect with the reality tree, but it only replies with dark omens, resulting in Bushy becoming a superpowered seed, something he doesn't seem to mind. Meanwhile, Amy desperately wants us to find Foundation. We check for flight records in Sanctuary and other forms of tracking him down. Nothing. Paradigm was the one to disappear all those years ago, and now that the 7 have finally welcomed her back, they start to disappear too, one by one. Imagined is no longer singing, Order is no longer patrolling, and Foundation is no longer sulking atop his massive statue. Massive. No deeper feet. After investigating their last known whereabouts, we find the missing 7's helmets, something that they would never leave behind. We find Scientist in his synapse station, but then he evacuates with the remaining 7 into a hidden base underground, just as a strange substance also appears on the island, making matters worse. Visitor, Origin, and Scientist, now reunited, needs us and Paradigm to retrieve as much 7 gear as possible, as they're going off-grid to plan for whatever lies ahead. However, Foundation and the Sisters, imagined in Order, are still missing. The full warning of the evil that has snuck into our home, brought here by the reality's tree cascading power, while we were celebrating our short-lasting peace. In the blink of an eye, half of the 7 are missing, and half of the island has already been consumed by what we will soon call Chrome. Wow. So, yeah, I am probably going to cut it off, because I've been recording for about an hour, and I don't really know if I should go more than that. Like I said, if you have any notes in the comments, let me know. I really hope me hitting the metal thing wasn't too loud. If it was, I'm so sorry. But yeah, thank you for all the support. I'm absolutely just shocked at the response on the first video.